your deputy chief minister. Is that something that bothers you, that you led the party to victory, but you're still deputy chief minister, and there are all kinds of sounds that keep coming around you? People want to be KPCC chief, somebody wants to be a deputy chief minister, 3 deputy chief minister, 4 deputy chief ministers.
See, desiring is different. We can't stop anyone to desire. It is a places when chairs are vacant, but here no chairs are vacant. As far as Congress party is concerned, it is only the High Command who takes the decision. It is not, we can't speak our political positions on media or with any of our friends. It is ultimately a group of 3-4 people looking at the aspirations of the people. They decide who has to lead the state and who has to lead the party.
Mr. D.K. Shiv Kumar, I know you're a politician and you're a very hard politician with goals, with strategies, money power, as well as hard work that you put in. But somewhere as a human being, do you feel let down that your party has still not recognized your contribution by making you the chief minister?
No, I feel, see, I know my strength and I know my weakness. Both I know.
What's your strength?
I don't want to tell. My strength is whatever I could have taken up the responsibility, I have delivered. Whatever my weakness is, I never blackmail the High Command.
That's your weakness?
No, definitely. I just go by my party decision. We never try to do any wrong against the party, this one. See, ultimately, I have some love for Gandhi family, because Gandhi family has kept this party united with a lot of this. I have been from the student movement. With a young age, Rajiv Gandhi gave me the ticket and he made me the minister, and ultimately again the Sonia Gandhi. Now it is the turn of Rahul Gandhi and Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. So I have been loyal to this party and the family, and the way have been struggled by the BJP's whatever they try to do to me. I think you all know. I know how I suffered in Tihar jail, going there till today. Every day I get about almost 2, 3, 4 notice every day. Every month I receive 15 notice. What is the torture I am facing, I know. Why I am tortured? For nothing. Or no other politicians in this state are facing what I am doing it. But still, ultimately, who is responsible for this? I have to bow my head to the loyalty. I feel that the loyalty will pay royalty one day, and I am still waiting for that. I have confidence in it.
But do you think that day will come soon? Because you've been on the waiting list forever.
No, not forever. We have some understanding. I don't want to discuss on media. Let us meet on the day.
18 months have passed since the Karnataka government came to power. Is the wait going to be very long?
19, I think 19 months.
Okay, 19 months. So, what is the understanding?
No, I can't disclose this with the understanding. It is between 4 or 5 of us. I don't want to disclose.
The 4 or 5 of us include members of the Gandhi family?
I don't want to discuss anything on that issue. I believe in them. I believe with Mallikarjun Kharge ji.
फडणवीस जी, मैं आपके साथ एक रैपिड फायर राउंड करना चाहती हूं, जिसमें मैं तेज सवाल पूछूंगी और आपको तेज जवाब देने होंगे। सबसे पहले मेरा सवाल है कि क्या आप मुख्यमंत्री की रेस में कंटेंडर हैं?
जी नहीं।
यानी कि आप मुख्यमंत्री बनने के लिए खेल ही नहीं रहे ये गेम?
मैंने आपको रैपिड उत्तर दिया है।
अच्छा, तो फिर कौन है मुख्यमंत्री का फेस? कौन है मुख्यमंत्री का फेस?
हम तीनों मिलकर जिसको तय करेंगे, 3 पार्टियां मिलकर जिसको तय करेंगी, वो हमारा फेस होगा।
आप एकनाथ शिंदे जी की परफॉर्मेंस एज सीएम कैसे रेट करते हैं?
बहुत अच्छी परफॉर्मेंस है। उन्होंने अच्छा काम किया है। 2.5 साल में उन्होंने गतिमान सरकार दी है, बहुत ही गति के साथ प्रगति करने वाली सरकार दी है।
फडणवीस जी, अगर आपको चॉइस दी जाए शिंदे या अजीत दादा पवार, किसको आप मुख्यमंत्री देखना चाहते हैं, किसे चूज करेंगे?
देखिए, इसका जवाब मैं आज इसलिए नहीं देना चाहता क्योंकि मुख्यमंत्री किसे बनाना है ये 3 पार्टियां मिलकर तय करने वाली है। तीनों पार्टियां इनमें से किसी को भी बनाए, मेरा उसको पूरा समर्थन होगा।
आप भाग रहे हैं सवाल से। बड़ा सिंपल सा स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड सवाल है। मैं देवेंद्र फडणवीस जी को पूछ रही हूं, आप किसको प्रेफर करेंगे?
ये आपका जो सवाल है ना, ये जलेबी जैसा स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड सवाल है, जलेबी जैसा स्ट्रेट है ये।
आजकल बीजेपी को जलेबियां बहुत पसंद आने लगी। जब से राहुल गांधी ने जलेबी को पॉपुलर किया है, आपको जलेबियां बहुत पसंद आने लगी हैं। लेकिन मैंने तो देवेंद्र फडणवीस से सीधा सवाल पूछा। देवेंद्र फडणवीस क्या जवाब देंगे, शिंदे या अजित पवार?
सीधा जवाब है शिंदे और अजित पवार दोनों।
भाग रहे हैं। सीएम तो एक ही हो सकता है, 2 सीएम तो हो नहीं सकते।
तो मैंने तो आपको पहले बता दिया कि सीएम का फैसला तो बाद में होने वाला है। तो मैं कोई इतना कच्चा खिलाड़ी तो नहीं हूं कि आप मुझे फंसाएंगे और मैं फंस जाऊंगा।
अच्छा, तो ये फंसाने वाला सवाल, कम से कम आपने इतना तो एडमिट कर दिया कि आप फंसने वाले नहीं हैं। अच्छा, तो मैं ये पूछना चाहती हूं, अगर आपको चूज करना होता कि आपके लिए सबसे ज्यादा दुख देने वाला मुख्यमंत्री फेस एमवीए में कौन है, महाविकास आघाड़ी में कौन है, तो किस पर उंगली रखेंगे? शरद पवार, उद्धव ठाकरे या फिर नाना पटोले?
नहीं, नाना पटोले तो बेचारा कभी मुख्यमंत्री बने ही नहीं। वो तो मेरे मित्र हैं, कभी बने नहीं, और उनको तो बेचारों को आखिरी में जो डिस्कशन है, उस डिस्कशन से भी मेरे मित्र को उन्होंने बाहर रख दिया। वो प्रदेश के अध्यक्ष है और वही डिस्कशन में नहीं थे। लेकिन मैं इसके ऊपर जवाब नहीं देना चाहता। देखिए, इस प्रकार के सवालों का जवाब जो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि परिपक्व लोग होते हैं, उन्होंने नहीं देना चाहिए।
तो ये बताइए, महाविकास आघाड़ी में सबसे स्ट्रॉन्ग पार्टनर आप किसे मानते हैं और सबसे वीक कौन है?
मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि महाविकास आघाड़ी को एक साथ रखने का काम तो शरद पवार जी करते हैं। शरद पवार जी मंजे हुए खिलाड़ी है। शरद पवार जी एक बड़े नेता है। शरद पवार जी ने बहुत सालों से चुनाव को देखा है। तो मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि निश्चित रूप से सबको साथ में रखने का काम तो वहाँ पर शरद पवार जी करते हैं। बाकी बचे हुए 2 पार्टनर हैं, अब उनमें कौन मजबूत है और कौन हल्का है, इस पर मैं कोई कमेंट नहीं करना चाहता।
कांग्रेस मजबूत लगती है या उद्धव जी?
हमारे सामने तो 75 सीटों पर कांग्रेस लड़ रही है, तो हमारी तो बीजेपी की लड़ाई ये सबसे ज्यादा कांग्रेस के साथ है। हम तो सीधा कांग्रेस के साथ ही लड़ रहे हैं।
Did you have a conversation with Mr. Rahul Gandhi?
No, Rahul Gandhi ji, no, I did not have a personal discussion with him because most of the time he authorizes to Venugopal ji and Gaurav, and in Rajya Sabha most of the time Jairam Ramesh ji, he comes to my house. I mean, that is how I'm the parliamentary affairs minister, so they come to my house and we discuss about many other things. So Rahul Gandhi ji has given charge to mainly these 3 people.
So there's no conversation between the parliamentary affairs minister and the leader of opposition in Lok Sabha through this entire parliament session?
No, we meet, we greet. We
Meet and greet, but conversations, discussions, how to make the house run?
I want to, but he has authorized to these people. When even
Have you asked specifically to discuss it with Mr. Gandhi?
No. In the first, when the House convened in the beginning, even for his allocation of bungalows for Rahul Gandhi as leader of opposition, I went to him. I asked him, you give me your choice of the house, and as per the availability, we will make request to the Director of State for allotment of appropriate building for him. And he said, मैं वेणु जी को ऑथराइज किया है, वेणु जी आपको बता देंगे क्या क्या है. So since he has authorized, so it's fine. For me, I mean, like, I have to deal with the Congress party. Whoever is the appointment, that is for them to decide. who should negotiate.
But
with
don't
me.
you think there should be a direct line, a direct conversation?
No, that's okay. I'm dealing with not the person, I'm dealing with the party. Whoever is authorized, it is the Congress party to take a call. I can't decide who should be the point man I should be talking to.
So, are you saying there's no camaraderie? There's no backslapping. I mean, once the house is adjourned,
नहीं, man.
आपस में बातचीत, चाय का कप, इतना भी शिष्टाचार नहीं है?
Navika ji, the situation is not as it appears on the particular day. Otherwise, we sit together and we sit and we sip tea and coffee.
राहुल गांधी के साथ भी?
राहुल गांधी का साथ नहीं होता है क्योंकि वो बहुत कम आते हैं ना, वो आकर के थोड़ा देर बैठ के चले जाते हैं, तो उनका बहुत ज्यादा लगाव नहीं है संसदीय कार्य से, और इसलिए उनके लोग लेकिन काफी मेरे साथ टच में रहते हैं. वेरी वेरी इनफॉर्मल मीटिंग एंड वेरी कैजुअल एंड फन.
इस बजट में मिडिल क्लास को आपने लगभग 17,500 रुपीस का एक रिलैक्सेशन दिया बाय रेजिंग द एग्जेम्पशन लिमिट. ग्रेट. हाउ मच डज दैट वर्क आउट टू? मैं आपको बताऊं, पर मंथ एक मिडिल क्लास के घर में 1,458 रुपीस बचते हैं. आपको लगता है कि इस 1,500 रुपए से कम की जो बचत हुई उससे मिडिल क्लास घर में कोई खास फर्क पड़ेगा?
Navika, I respect this issue of middle class should be given some rahat. How much ever I wish to give, I love to give more. But after a point, it's also, particularly when it comes to tax related issue. That is why, to make a difference to the salaried people, I made sure that the standard deduction will go up from 50,000 to 75,000. Once the tax rates are also being changed, that will benefit even the higher tax payers. Because for every 1 lakh, first 1 lakh, first 5 lakh, first 10 lakh, first 15 lakh, the kind of benefit that will benefit even the higher income groups. So, first of all, our intention to give something to the middle class salaried people, I increase this standard deduction. I can do more, I wish to do more, but there are limitations in taxation. How much more can I give is a question that I have to look at. So ideally, yes, I love to give more, but there are limitations. And I have to consider there are limitations. That's why affordable housing, I'm giving some kind of a benefit, and subsidized interest. I'm also making sure that student loans for students who are going to study in Indian universities is up to 10 lakhs, and on that also a subsidized interest will be given for families to pick up for children's education. So there are various ways in which we are trying.
When papers are leaking all over the place.
Well, that has clearly been taken up in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has come out with, having looked at the case, its judgment. I think we should learn to judge, learn to respect the judgment which has come from the Supreme Court.
निर्मला जी, आपने कहा मिडिल क्लास को मैं ज्यादा देना चाहती हूँ, लेकिन सवाल लोग ये करते हैं कि इस देश की 140 करोड़ की आबादी है, उसमें से 7 करोड़ लोग इनकम टैक्स के नेट में आते हैं, जिसमें से 5 करोड़ लगभग, शायद उससे कुछ ज्यादा ही, सिर्फ रिटर्न फाइल करते हैं, टैक्स नहीं देते. यानी कि पूरे देश के 140 करोड़ लोगों के बिहाफ पर अगर कोई टैक्स दे रहा है तो वो 2 करोड़, लगभग 2 करोड़, शायद उससे कम लोग. क्या उनकी गलती यही है कि वो सैलरीड हैं, उनके पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है, उनका तो जो टैक्स है वो टीडीएस पे कटता है? और एक मीम जो मुझे दिखा, जो मुझे बहुत लगता है कि हर मिडिल क्लास घर में, और ये अगर मैं आपको दिखाऊं तो इसमें, आई डोंट नो आपने देखा कि नहीं सोशल मीडिया में, वो कह रहा है ये तनख्वाह आती है, तनख्वाह में से आप पहले तो 30% डायरेक्ट टैक्स दे देते हैं और बाकी का आप क्या करेंगे, आप जो खर्च करते हैं उसमें आप अगर ऑर्डिनरी चीजों पे खर्च करते हैं तो आपको 12% का जीएसटी लगता है, थोड़ी सी महंगी चीजों पर करते हैं तो 18%, और लग्जरी गुड्स थोड़े बहुत खरीदने का अगर आपका शौक है तो वो 28%। तो ये सैलरी यहां चली जाती है, और यहां पर आप जो इन्वेस्ट करते हैं तो अगर आपके लॉसेस होते हैं तो सरकार आपको कुछ नहीं कहती, लेकिन अगर आपको फायदा होता है तो आप 20% टैक्स दे दीजिए यहां पर, या 12.5% जो आपने लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स टैक्स लगा दिया है। तो सैलरीड वाला, खास करके प्राइवेट सेक्टर में जो सैलरीड इंसान होता है, उसके पास कोई सोशल सिक्योरिटी नहीं है, उसके पास कोई पेंशन नहीं है, वो सरकारी नौकर नहीं है। उनका कौन सा बेनिफिट है जिस पर टैक्स नहीं लगता? ये सवाल जनता पूछ रही है, मिडिल क्लास के लोग पूछ रहे हैं।
हम टैक्स रेट कम करने के लिए हर कोशिश करें. That is why we brought in the new tax regime, the alternative new regime, which has far lesser rate compared to the old regime. The old regime has a lot of exemptions and so on. Many people said we don't need the exemptions, so we brought that. That's one. We tried to reduce and simplify the taxation entire system and regime itself. And it's difficult to convey this, and I don't know how I'm going to do this without causing this outrage about, how dare the finance minister say this. But let us, matter of fact, please allow me this indulgence. Is GST tax on the essentials, was it brought in only by GST? When they taxed under the earlier pre-GST regime in every state through VAT or through excise, don't tax, great principle, don't tax at all. But to say that it is GST which brought it on my soap, panna oil, my comb, with due respect, whether you want to accept it or not, even I come from a middle class family which lived on salaries. Do you think I'm here now doing things which I don't understand? With due respects, GST on daily use items, every state was doing its own earlier. That's been brought together so that it becomes simple and one all over the country. In some states, buying a car was cheaper, and some other state it was more expensive. So in order to get the entire country to deal with it in one fashion, there was a GST council formed and rates have been decided. Now, the ministers who sit in the GST council spend a lot of time understanding this and represent the people. All of us speak for the people. And therefore, to think that before GST all these were free, whereas now it has been taxed, no. But I can for sure say, after the GST, the tax rate on all of them has come down. I've released n number of data to show that the ordinary daily use common man items have been brought down in tax after the introduction of GST. Let's give credit where it is due.
Speaks about a caste census. You speak about a skill census. Is that a difference in approach? Are these just acronyms that are great lines to woo public vote and public support? How do you see skill census versus caste census, if you would want to respond to the current political climate as well?
See, both are intertwined. We support skill census, but then we need to also back it up with, caste census. No second thoughts about it. That way, I'll be able to create a project of practices for every family. Because what's happening is the wealth divide in India is increasingly growing. It's important that the marginalized society is pulled out of the cycle of poverty. That's very, very important. That's where we want to give a project of practice for every family, and using technology that we have today on what is the intervention that I can do to pull them out of that cycle. So I believe both are important. No second thoughts about it. But again, I would love for next generation leadership to talk more and actually highlight, spearhead creating jobs.
But, as far as the government at the center is concerned, caste census is something they've been ambivalent on. Do you think that ambivalence is in sync with your views?
These are things that we would discuss across the table.
Have they been discussed so far?
The conversations are still going on. They have not concluded. And we continue to have conversations around caste census and various other issues. But parallelly, we are also talking to the central government about job creation. And that's very, very important for as a nation. How is it that we're going to create jobs? What are the steps we're going to take for it? And how do we create that kind of a climate, investor climate, to deliver on that promise?
So what has been your sense in terms of the support, ideas that you've been getting from the center?
They've been amazingly receptive. They're open to ideas, they're open to feedback, and they also believe that strong states make a strong nation. And we believe, together we believe in that, and we can deliver on that promise.
So have there been any conversations at the level of the Prime Minister, at the level of senior ministers in the government, and what are the takeaways?
Various conversations have happened in terms of how do you create jobs, how do you create ecosystem, the role of agriculture in modern India, how do we do skilling. These are conversations that have already happened. And Mr. Naidu has been talking about the 4 Ps. It's no longer about private-public partnership, but we have people there. When we do this project of practices for every family, how can we get the private sector to support, handhold? How do you create this entire ecosystem around MSMEs, for an example? And how can you sort of target those particular families and bring them out of the cycle of poverty? So these are the ideas we already exchanged with the Honorable Prime Minister.
आपके परिवार का हिस्ट्री एक रही है। आपके ग्रेट ग्रैंडफादर एक कांग्रेस के एमएलए थे। आप क्या पॉलिटिक्स में उनसे इंस्पायर होती, उनकी बातें आपने कभी अपने फैमिली में सुनी? और कांग्रेस की एक आपके सामने लेगेसी है फैमिली में और आपने ज्वाइन किया बीजेपी, ऐसा क्यों?
मेरे जो दादाजी हैं, वो दादाजी थे, वो बहुत ही ज्यादा बेहतरीन इंसान जिन्हें कह सकते हैं, एंड आई एम ह्यूजली इंस्पायर्ड बाय हिम। मैं जब वो 2010 में बहुत उनकी 104 साल में उनकी मृत्यु हुई, तो बहुत जैसे पहाड़ी लोग होते हैं, बहुत अच्छी सेहत थी उनकी। तो वो स्वतंत्रता सेनानी थे। महात्मा गांधी के साथ भी उन्होंने कई आंदोलनों में हिस्सा लिया। लेकिन ये देखिए, उस वक्त पे ऐसा कोई कांग्रेस या बीजेपी का नहीं था, और कोई पार्टी नहीं थी। तो आप जिस तरह से आज चाहे लाल बहादुर शास्त्री हो गए, चाहे वल्लभ भाई पटेल, जो भी नेता हो गए जिनकी राइट विंग इंक्लिनेशन थी या लीनिंग थी, तो उनके पास कोई और, वो तो फिर अटल जी ने एक पार्टी शुरू की, तो ये सब हुआ। लेकिन जेपी नारायण, सो टू स्पीक, जनता पार्टी। लेकिन मेरे जो दादाजी की जो आप बात करते हैं, सरजू सिंह रनौत, जिन्होंने हमारे जो गांव है सूरजपुर, उसका नाम तो उनके नाम पे पड़ा है, उन्होंने बिजली वहां पे लाई थी पहली बार। तो उन्होंने जो है वो राइट लीनिंग थे, कंप्लीटली राइट लीनिंग थे वो, एंड बहुत ही ज्यादा प्राउड हिंदू, बहुत ही कर्मठ और नेशनलिस्टिक पर्सनैलिटी थी उनकी। तो आई थिंक हम लोग डेफिनेटली उनसे, पूरी फैमिली बहुत इंस्पायर्ड है, वी आर प्राउड ऑफ हिम।
तो आप कांग्रेस की तरफ आपका कभी रुझान नहीं रहा? आज की कांग्रेस,
आई थिंक कांग्रेस जो है वो एक, मेरे लिए तो कांग्रेस बहुत ही एक, I'd say that regardless of the politics, it has been a very appalling party for me. For me, like the whole nepotism thing in the party has been hugely appalling, because I was a target of the same system in my industry. और मैंने कितना ओपनली उस चीज को कंडेम किया था, एंड आई ओपनली फॉट इट रिगार्डलेस ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट। तो मुझे जिस चीज से मेरा शोषण हो रहा था, जिस चीज से मुझे जो है प्रताड़ित किया जा रहा था, तो वो मैं परिवारवाद, ग्रुपिज्म, डायनेस्टिक जो पॉलिटिक्स कहते हैं, उससे तो मुझे तो एक तरह से घृणा है, बहुत ही ज्यादा घृणा है मुझे इस पार्टी से।
राहुल गांधी को आप कैसे देखती हैं? उन्होंने न्याय जोड़ो, भारत जोड़ो यात्रा की, भारत जोड़ो न्याय यात्रा की, वो पिछड़ों की बात करते हैं, वो कास्ट सेंसस की बात करते हैं, आप ट्रोल भी हो रही हैं क्यों?
लेकिन मुझे एक बात बताइए आप, कि मैं उनको वैसे ही देखती हूँ जैसे मुझे वो फिल्म इंडस्ट्री के वो जो राजा बेटा जो, तो मैं उन्हें वैसे ही देखती हूँ। और मैं उन्हें कैसे देखूं?
नहीं, राजा बेटा
नहीं, राजा बेटा जैसे बाबा, बेबी, ये लो दूध, मिल्क बॉटल, फिर एप्पल, फिर टॉफी, और क्या है? और कैसे देखूं मैं उनको जैसे कहा कि उनको ऐसा लगता है एक चिट दिया जाता है पढ़ने के लिए, और वो पढ़ देते हैं। जैसे वहां पे वो बेटी को उन्होंने अवार्ड दे दिए, नहीं कंगना को सारे अवार्ड मिल गए, मुझे भी चाहिए। वैसे अब की बार सारे अवार्ड इसको दो, नाराज हो गई है ये। वैसे पूरे सब उन लोगों को, उनका मूड नहीं खराब होना चाहिए बस। तो ये ऐसे देखती हूँ मैं उनको।
पर उन्हें तो कोई अवार्ड नहीं मिला। तो आप ये कौन सा ऐसा वाक्य है जिससे आप ये जो उनके बारे में कह रही हैं ये एसोसिएट करती हैं?
उनके कोई भी वाक्य आज तक पूरे हुए हैं? कोई वाक्य उनका याद है आपको? कुछ बोलने लगते हैं, कहीं और निकल जाते हैं। किसानों की बात करते हैं, चांद पे निकल जाते हैं। वो अलाइनमेंट नहीं है, वो नहीं हो सकता। वो आप बाद में नहीं सॉफ्टवेयर डाउनलोड कर सकते, वो डाउनलोड होके आता है।
तो आप कह रही हैं सॉफ्टवेयर की प्रॉब्लम है?
देखिए वो अब नहीं, देखिए जो आप चाहते हैं कि वो बने, ठीक है, वो इंसान के बनाने वाली चीज नहीं है। वो, मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ, वो भगवान बना के भेजते हैं।
तो किस बात पे आप उनके पॉलिटिकल व्यूज से सहमत नहीं हैं?
यार मैं नविका, आप कमाल करती हैं
मुझे
यार। मैं
समझ
वही
नहीं आ रहा,
कहती हूँ कि आप ओवरऑल उनको क्या क्या लेवल पे अपग्रेड करेंगी आप? क्या क्या लेवल पे? ऐसा नहीं हो सकता, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता। वो फिल्म इंडस्ट्री है, वहां पे आपने वो बच्चों को छोटा मोटा वो करके जैसे तैसे मैनेज करके करते रहे, इंजेक्ट कर रहे ऑडियंसेस को, जैसे भी इंडस्ट्री डूब रही है लेकिन उन्हीं को बेचना है, ठीक है। वो एक अलग छोटा सा एक बबल है, वो ये अलग है, ये लोकतंत्र है। यहां पे सब दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी हो जाएगा। और खासकर ये जो इस देश की जो प्रताड़ित चेतना शक्ति है, जिसको दशकों से, इट्स लाइक अ फायर, इसको कोई रोक नहीं सकता है। जो कहां से शुरू होती आ रही है, जैसे मैंने जिन नेताओं के नाम लिए, लाल बहादुर शास्त्री, सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल, जेपी नारायण, अटल जी, वीर सावरकर, ये सब ये इनकी चेतना शक्ति है। ये आप इसको ऐसा नहीं, कोई गुडा गुडिया का खेल थोड़ी है।
As Team Trump enters its very, very high-octane lap of presidential elections, I'm joined by one of the most well-known Indian Americans who had a bid at the presidential race himself, Vivek Ramaswamy. Entrepreneur, man who's a Republican, a man who has an Indian identity that he's so proud of. Thank you very much, Vivek Ramaswamy, for joining me.
It's great to be here.
You're also an author.
Yes.
And you wear your Indian identity and your Hindu identity on your sleeves. Is that a little bit away from what Americans really find acceptable?
I don't think it's away from what Americans find acceptable. I do think that political advisors find it unadvisable. I've been advised many times that if I wanted to run for U.S. president as a Hindu, and I'm a practicing Hindu, then that would be a challenge. But my view is that you got to present to people who you are. You can't be dishonest about who you are and what you stand for. To the contrary, I think people actually reward that authenticity. So in the long run, I think the United States of America is religiously, racially the most tolerant, and I would say one of the most ambitiously inclusive countries in human history. And so I have confidence that the American electorate is going to be very open to people of backgrounds like mine, and I'm grateful for that in this country.
Were you disappointed when you went into the presidency race and ultimately didn't quite work out this time? Were you disappointed personally, and are we looking at Vivek Ramaswamy doing this now in 2028?
So was I disappointed? I'm a human being. Of course I was. I set out to accomplish the goal of becoming the next U.S. president, and I didn't achieve that goal. There's a lot of factors I could blame. I could have a very long day of complaining about the media or the political process or the way the Republican Party functioned or the donor class. But one of the things I preach to my kids, and so I got to follow my own advice too, is that the number one factor that determines whether you achieve your goal is actually you. There are other factors that matter, but the number one factor is you. And so this has been a year for deep reflection. I think there are a lot of learnings from the campaign. Frankly, things that if I were to do it again, I would do differently and hopefully for the better. So it's a mixed feeling, because on one hand, at the time that I declared my candidacy for president, my polling was not 0%, it was 0.0%. And most people in this country didn't know my name, let alone could they pronounce it. And by the end of it, I had beaten multiple former and current senators, governors, a former vice president of the United States. I was, the top tier of candidates through the Iowa caucus, made it further than Kamala Harris did when she ran for president as well. And that is beautiful. It's possible in the United States, and I'm proud of our family for doing it together. So part of me is very proud of what we achieved, giving hope to people. I can't walk the streets of New York without taxi drivers, doormen, working class Americans really expressing their appreciation for even the message that we were able to spread. So that part of it I'm deeply proud of. On the other hand, I didn't accomplish the goal. I was in this to really save our country, revive our national identity, not just for the next 4 years, but for the next 400 years, I hope. I hope our longest and best days are still ahead of us. And that mission still guides me. And so whatever I do next, in the next few months, in the next few years, it's going to be to have the biggest possible impact on this country. And, we'll see what the future holds in store.
Let me ask you, have you met with Indian Prime Minister Modi? You've spoken about him a few times. You observe him, and how would you, in Vivek Ramaswamy style, describe him?
Yeah, so I would love to meet him. I haven't met him yet. I've met with a number of other world leaders and prime ministers who have reached out to me during their visits to the United States. But I think the Indian ambassador had been in touch with our team, and I'm sure we'll meet at some point. So I'd welcome that opportunity. And should we visit India at some time in the next couple of years, I'm sure we'll have an occasion to do that. The way I describe him is he's somebody who doesn't apologize for what it means to be an Indian. He's the leader of India. He's a citizen of India. And he doesn't apologize for his pride in his country. And because of that, he gives pride to the other people who he leads. And I think that's an admirable quality. Do I know every one of his policies? Do I agree with 100% of his policies? Probably not 100%, just as I don't agree with 100% of Donald Trump's policies or anybody else. No two people would. But I respect that essential element of being proud of your country without having to apologize for it. I think it's something that India required, getting past its deficit of self-confidence. It's my view in India and how he's been, I think, a leader that, for all of his critics or what they may have to say, is somebody who at least is proud of his nation and will stand for that. My goal is to bring that level of pride and then some, right, to the United States of America at a moment where we lack our own national character here. I don't think it has to stay that way, and that's what I'm on a mission to do.
Mr. Bill Gates, the question here is also, the last time we met at a breakfast meeting with some ministers of the Indian government with you, and you were talking a lot about the kind of data that the Indian government has, and data that actually connects people to the needy people, the welfare state, and how there is a whole model that works on the data availability and connecting people to the needs. How do you think India is doing in that direction in terms of reaching the last mile to the last needy person in a welfare state?
Well, the ultimate test in the world of health is to look at a number of the deaths. I mean, it's tragic stuff, but to look into it and figure out, okay, what was the cause of that? Is it diarrhea? Okay, do we need a vaccine, or is that, better sanitation? Was it pneumonia? Okay, did they get the vaccine? And so this idea of really understanding those deaths, which there's a lot of researchers, some of whom we give grants to, that's guiding the priority. India in general has very high vaccination coverage, and there are parts of the country where it's not as high. India manages at the federal level to provide more resources to the poorer states, and that, I've seen that that's being applied now to improve the quality of these health services. So that constant feedback loop, yes, there is an awareness, are we Kala-Azar? Are we near to eradication? No, okay, it's still in these few places. What do we need to do there? There's these so-called neglected diseases where we do these mass campaigns, and the coverage levels of those drugs wasn't high in some places. And so now we've seen that, and the government's driving the quality there. So, you have to be constantly learning. When the things don't go well, you have to kind of say, okay, how do we adjust that? And, health in India is on that learning curve.
Let me also ask you, you often talk about the fact that climate change is not something businesses are talking a lot about, and with profits needs to come in a little bit of responsibility and accountability. Do you think climate change and the health indices of human beings across the world are connected, and is there enough that is being done in that direction?
Yeah, so the data in our report, I'd say, is one of the first times that you're really seeing a serious numerical analysis. You might think, okay, everybody's going to die, or that it's not a big deal. And here we're providing, a real model that connects the temperature to these health outcomes. Climate change, we need a lot of innovation. Today there's a lot of activities, cars, buses, making cement, making steel. And through innovation, we need the price of that, the clean approach, to get below the dirty approach. And so I fund a lot of that kind of work. As we make progress on that, India will be a very important place to scale that up. And so I'm often talking to partners about, okay, what does this look like? Tata's in the steel business, Reliance is in the solar panel business. So we're going to get to a stage where even beyond building solar fields, India has to participate in this green industrial revolution.
आपका एक वीडियो दोबारा से it was trending just 2-3 days ago जब आपने BBC में किसी को कहा about hunger और you really gave it back to that presenter. Where did that come from, and what's the story there, and why did it go viral all over again, and tell us the backstory.
क्यों वायरल हो ये तो मुझे पता नहीं है, पर मेरा आप देख सकते हैं बातचीत होती है मेरी ज़्यादा हिंदी में ही होती है. 24 साल से यहाँ पे हूँ, कोई एक्सेंट नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है. हम चाहें तो एक्सेंट नहीं होता. इट्स माई सेल्फ लव ऑफ हु आई एम. तो मेरे को इंग्लिश में जवाब देना कभी कभी ना नवी का थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है. अगर लड़ नहीं सकता मैं इंग्लिश, लड़ता मैं पंजाबी में हूँ.
That is so Punjabi. That is so Punjabi.
तो मुझे उनको लगा कि he is asking me a question hitting my belly कि तो कुछ नहीं था. Why do they feel कि मिडिल क्लास बच्चे जो आते हैं बाहर के देशों में वो भूखमरी पड़ी हुई है उनके देश में. Why do you want to bring that narrative, and why do we need to participate in that? गोरों को तो नहीं बोलते आप कि देखो यू मस्ट हैव कम फ्रॉम ब्रोकन फैमिली, डिवोर्सेज होंगे, घर में डिप्रेशन होगा. उनको तो नहीं इंटरव्यू करके पूछते सीधा पहला क्वेश्चन कि कितना ज्यादा यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, मेंटल प्रॉब्लम्स. नहीं पूछते उनको. हमें सीधा देख के कि बहुत गरीब भूखे नंगे हमारे देश में आया, हमने देखो प्रेसिडेंट्स ने हमारे खाना बनवाया. अरे मैं अपने देश में भी खुश था, बट इट वॉज जस्ट अ मोमेंट ऑफ माई टाइम. उस टाइम पे टाइम खराब चल रहा था कि सब कुछ. सी यू लुक टॉकिंग अबाउट 2000, बहुत कम अपॉर्चुनिटीज थी देश में अपने रेस्टोरेंट्स खोलने की, सब कुछ करने की. उस टाइम पे अमृतसर में मैं क्या करता, मैं मजबूर था. मेरा सारा बैंक्वेट हॉल टूट गया था उस टाइम पे. I was a very broken man, and I said I'm going to come abroad. पर मैं यहाँ भूखा वाला थोड़ी आया था मैं. तो मुझे बताना था कि एक ऐसे देश से आते हैं जहाँ पे 24 घंटे कहीं ना कहीं लंगर लगा हुआ है, कहीं ना कोई आपको खिला रहा है. ट्रेन में भी बैठे हो, भूखे मर रहे हो, कुछ नहीं हो, कोई नहीं ऐसा होता, कोई ना कोई आपको एक रोटी शेयर कर लेता है।
बिल्कुल।
आपको कहीं ना कहीं से, मैं कहता हूँ कहीं ना कहीं से कार्ब्स आपको मिल जाते हैं। कार्ब्स काम करते हैं इंडिया में, कहीं से कोई आपको दे देगा कुछ।
और हमारी नानियां दादियां कहती
पैकिंग वो की जा रही है
कि रोटी खाए बिना सोना नहीं।
और हमारे को कहते थे कि एक्स्ट्रा पैक किए किसको दे देना, बीजी कहते थे। हमको दूध वाली परौंठी बनती थी, क्योंकि मैं पढ़ता था मणिपाल में, तो वो 1.5 दिन का ट्रिप था मणिपाल पहुंचना अमृतसर से, तो बीजी हमेशा एक्स्ट्रा फुलके बना दे। तो मैं कहता था क्यों, कहते नाल कोई बैठा है ना, घर चारों ने दे देंगे, तेरे लिए नहीं है सारा, पर तू जब खा रहा होगा ना, तो बीजी कहते थे नजर नहीं लगती। I come from, and you are asking me on the world's biggest network in a way that I'm going to participate with you and hear that narrative. Where are you living? We were called third world citizens, but now we are the third largest economy and booming more than these people with the much youth, with more stable families. Of course we have problems. किसने कहा कौन से देश में problems नहीं है? सब में कमियां हैं। बट ये नहीं पूछते आप किसी को, उनको नहीं पूछते, पर हमको जब मेन स्ट्रीट पे बैठेंगे तो बता।
तो आप तो मिशेलिन स्टार हो, पर आपके यहाँ तो बड़ी भुखमरी है या, और हमारे घरों में आई डोंट नो, आपकी नानी ने आपको ये जरूर कहा होगा, क्योंकि हर पंजाबी घर में कहते हैं हाथ इंज रखो, इंज ना करो, मतलब कि आपके पास कुछ है तो शेयर करते रहो, सबके साथ देते रहो। 2 रोटियां हैं तो एक किसी को दे दो।
आई थिंक वारेन उन्नत, उसका रीजन ये भी है मेरे हिसाब से कि व्हेन यू आर इन अ पोजीशन ऑफ लीडरशिप, यू कैन नॉट demean where you come from. That was chosen for you by destiny. किस घर में आप पैदा होते, किस पेरेंट्स के, उसकी वजह से यहाँ पे जो सैक्रिफाइस उन्होंने किए हैं, यहाँ पे तो किसी ने नहीं किया है। अगर मैं टूटता हूँ यहाँ पे, जितनी बार फेल होता हूँ, बैंकरप्ट होता हूँ, वही आते हैं बचाने मेरे को।